Hey everybody, Hummingbird027 here. Today is November 9th, 2011. And incidentally, today is actually 40 days from the Feast of Trumpets, actually. I wanted to show you this. Anybody who wants to look up E.W. Bullinger, he was really awesome writer at the turn of the 20th century. So 40 has long been universally recognized as an important number, both on account of the frequency of its occurrence and the uniformity of its association with a period of probation, trial, and chastisement, not judgment like the number 9, which stands in connection with the punishment of enemies, but the chastisement of sons and of a covenant people. So this is a very interesting look into the Old Testament because it shows the 40-year probation trial, Moses' life. You know, he really did his work. I ask you all to check out E.W. Bullinger. He is a pretty smart guy when it comes to all of these numerology in the Bible. Okay, so Alaska is now, the hurricane, which is a Category 1 right now, is now being called a snowicane. And I'm being told that this is a epic snowstorm. Like they've not seen one of these in a long time. They've actually canceled the Iditarod. It's the famous dog sled race that they have every year at this time up in Alaska. It has been canceled and they don't know when they're going to redo it again. Nome, Alaska is actually being evacuated, and they have been getting hit over and over by 100-mile-per-hour winds from this snowicane. And I have been told in reports that some of the waves are actually over 40 feet tall. That's pretty incredible. So you guys can read this story, but anybody living up in the Alaska area who is watching this newscast, please get food and water and be safe and be warm and leave. If there is a dangerous area you're in, please leave and go stay with a friend's house, or anything that you can do, but be safe, and we pray for you. Okay, here is a picture of asteroid YU-55, which is a live shot from a man taken in Central Florida with an 8-inch scope. This is from Mary Greeley. Thanks, Mary Greeley, for sharing this with us. I actually went out with my husband and my son last night, and we tried to look for this, and then you can see these 4 stars here. This is Pegasus, and it went right through Pegasus like they said, and we tried to look for it, but the moon was too bright and we did not get to see it, but this man got a great shot. You can watch all of that later. I will post this below as usual. It's a revolt. Students march in London. Students took to the streets of London en masse on Wednesday to fight government funding cuts and a massive hike in tuition fees. But rubber bullets and police intimidation threatened to turn the demonstration into a bloody affair. The demonstrators gathered at the University of London in the center of the city around noon. 10,000 people were expected to take part in the march against the privatization of education and other attacks on the welfare state. So lots going on in London, guys. We could see a nice little bloody battle going on here too, as we've been seeing in the States with our owls. Here are some excellent pictures of El Hierro from Earth Observatory, and here you can see the small little town of La Restinga. These photographs are just mind-boggling how big this silt cloud is, and it's starting to surround the island. Here's a newer photograph, and you can see it's starting to wrap around. Look at how big the volcanic ashes that's piling up into the ocean. Excellent pictures, guys. NASA develops super black material that absorbs light across multiple wavelength bands. NASA engineers have produced a material that absorbs on average more than 99% of the ultraviolet visible infrared and far infrared light that hits it. The team of engineers at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center reported that their findings recently at the SPI Optics and Photonics Conference, the largest interdisciplinary technical meeting in this discipline. The team has since reconfirmed the material's absorption capabilities in additional testing. The reflectance test shows that our team has extended by 50 times the range of the material's absorption capabilities. So that's pretty cool. They're actually looking up at a close-up view of 0.03 inches wide the internal structure of a carbon nanotube coating that absorbs about 99% of the ultraviolet light. So this is pretty cool. Look at the awesome pictures that they can now start getting. UN reports Security Council is divided on the Palestinian vote. A draft report from the UN Security Council says members cannot reach a decision on whether to admit the Palestinian territories as a member state. The report by the Security Council members committee was leaked to news outlets on Tuesday. Looks like the Palestinians, they still need 9 votes in the 15-member Security Council. So it looks like the UN is becoming divided about all this. Not sure what's going to happen here. We'll keep our eyes on it, though. Ron Paul says Obama is practically a dictator. Amen. Somebody else is getting it out there. Republican presidential candidate Ron Paul says that these times are frustrating ones for the commander-in-chief, but that doesn't give Barack Obama an excuse to deviate from the Constitution. According to Paul, President Obama's role in office is approaching that of a dictatorship. And I have been saying this too. He is just going overboard with his authority. He does not have the authority to pass laws. Congress does. We the people decide, not him. And he is basically trampling on all the people, and he's doing what he wants in this office. In an open letter issued by Texas Congressman Ron Paul, dated November 7th, the GOP hopeful calls out the current U.S. president for time and time again misusing his ability to implement executive orders to bypass the system of checks and balances that Americans' forefathers inscribed to keep the country in order. Obama, he's familiar with the U.S. Constitution. He lectured in it at the University of Chicago Law School for 12 years. He should know better than what he is doing. Representative Paul says that the president should know a thing or two about what the document says. Paul goes on to state, the Obama's handling of constitutional law might be a misstep, but falls in the line with the policies implemented by other administrations throughout history. That, however, does not necessitate a precedent that allows the president to ignore the law of the land. Perhaps most obvious of Obama's unconstitutional go-arounds is the presidential-approved U.S. military operations in Libya in conjunction with NATO forces. The president personally ordered the delivery of thousands of American troops to oust former Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi without seeking congressional approval, and continued to avoid asking permission to keep the battles waging for months after the fact. As the days of America involvement overseas added up, many lawmakers, Paul included, attacked Obama for being in violation of the War Powers Resolution Act, which specifies that the president must seek approval for long-lasting military involvement. Obama, however, insisted that the Libyan skirmish in which American drone aircraft launch about 145 missile strikes, did not equate to an actual war. So lies, lies, and more lies. You guys, Obama, he thinks that him and Sarkozy think that Netanyahu's a liar. You better look in the mirror, because you're the liars. Time and time again, you are trying to pull the wool over the American people's eyes. This is why all the young people are rising up in this nation. Everybody's mad, and it's going to get worse because judgment is coming. Modern Warfare 3, Russia to invade U.S. again. It took terrorists a year and a half to copy the plot of Modern Warfare 2 with a blast in Moscow's airport, killing 37. How long will it take this time? In the latest edition of the Call of Duty franchise, the characters are to take back New York City from Russian forces. The idea of taking back an American city from Russia is nothing new for Call of Duty fans. In the final mission of Modern Warfare 2, they were recapturing Washington, D.C. However, that game was mostly remembered for its shocking mission where the protagonist butchered a whole Moscow airport full of civilian hostages. There are moves to ban the sales of Modern Warfare 2 in Russia, but in the end, just the controversial mission was removed in the PC releases. So are we going to be seeing these things again? In 2011, slightly more than a year after the game's release, real terrorists conducted a blast in Moscow's airport, killing 37 and injuring almost 200 people. Okay, is this a coincidence? No, they are showing what they're going to do so that, because these people, these elites, these people who follow Satan and his minions, they have a moral code too, and their moral code is to show you what's going to happen right in broad daylight. And most of you scoffers out there, I love you guys so much, but you're totally blind and your head is in the ground, because they hide things in plain sight. Jesus said, in the Old Testament, he said that they hide things in plain sight. It's in Isaiah. And they turn things upside down. Keep watching, guys. It's getting worse. 3 days to save Martian moon probe. Russia launched an unmanned probe to one of Mars's moon, Phobos, in the early hours of Wednesday, but it has a technical trouble. And now this agency has 3 days to sort the problem out. After the probe separated from its booster rockets, its own engine was supposed to generate 2 impulses in order to direct the spacecraft into an interplanetary trajectory. However, for reasons unknown, this never happened and the maneuver was not performed. So this is a very interesting article. I want you guys to definitely read this. They are actually going to Mars to look at, Mars's moon, Phobos, to look at the monoliths that have been found there in recent pictures taken, of which, even Buzz Aldrin said on national TV on CNN about a year ago that there are monoliths on Mars's moon, Phobos, and he said that that would be one of the things that they were going to look at. Well, Russia is definitely headed there as soon as they can. So, can feds track the GPS of every American? Well, in the Supreme Court today, talks have begun over the legalities that could exist to allow authorities to secretly track GPS devices on everyday Americans. It is a haunting transformation into an Orwellian society. Okay, you guys can read the rest of this article because I'm running out of my limited time here. I just want to show you this because this is where we're going. We're going into the whole Orwellian deal, 1984. We don't need to go there. We can turn to Christ right now and He can come help us. We have curses or we have blessings. We can choose which one we want. I'm all for the blessings. I'm all for obeying God and doing His will on this earth so I can reap the benefits. If you don't know God, you need to get to know Him. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.